The Seattle redemption arc begins now. I did it. I made the 14-hour drive up here. It wasn't too bad, actually, at all. And I didn't get that much sleep, and then I moved everything in like an hour and a half. And what can I say? I mean, my life hit such a huge positive upturn immediately when I got here. The first thing I did was sign up for hot yoga and take a class. I immediately felt better, and I went again today. I've been getting up at 6 in the morning and going for a run. I'll walk you through my day today. I got up at 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. I went for a 2-mile run. I got to the office. I hammered out all my emails and everything that I wanted to do for the broadcast, like for the last month or so that my life's been like fucked, and responded to everybody. And I did that till like 9, and then I walked over because I don't own a car. I sold it. So I walked over to hot yoga. I took a hot yoga class and relaxed. And then I walked over to Trader Joe's, which is like a minute from my house, bought a salad, and went back to my apartment, which has 20-foot tall ceiling windows and overlooks the city, sat down and ate my salad while I was watching the city. Came back here. We set up this room to do the broadcast. We got 2 big desks from Nerd Fusion to put up on the loft. So I'll have a streaming setup there. I'm going to build those desks. I'll do a live stream for you guys back at the apartment, maybe tomorrow, for the desk builds. And then Sevidus and I managed to hoist, it's completely to his credit, he's a fucking genius, managed to hoist the embodied chair and the giant PC. So I have this giant Alienware PC that I got donated from Team Dignitas. And it's huge. And I was like, how are we going to get this thing up there? And so Sevidus gets this pulley system where we have these like 3 ropes, and like we tie them together and we pull it up like gradually. But the problem is that we didn't estimate how much damage it would do to the walls. So we completely, like, we're lifting this up, and I'm quickly realizing the mistake in this plan, that this giant computer is like tearing into the walls and scratching everywhere. And then Seven is just like, oh, it's just a scratch. Nobody's like these giant black marks. It's taking the fucking paint off, like things are going crazy. I'm like, no. And we managed to hoist the damn thing up. We managed to hoist the embodied chair up as well. So now everything that needs to be up there is up there. For the monitors, I just carried that shit up there. And then I was like, wait a minute. Well, I'm living in an apartment complex, so like, what if I just call maintenance and I see what happens? And so I called maintenance, and they're like, yeah, what's up? And I'm like, well, I fucked up, and I lost my security deposit 24 hours after I moved in. And they're like, well, let's go take a look. And so they come up and they take a look, and they're like, oh yeah, and they just bring in some paint, and they just paint the wall. They just completely paint the wall. They repaint the wall instantly. And then it's done. Brand new, man. And I'm like, what do I owe you? They're like, nothing. That's what we do. Just call us if you need us. And I was like, holy shit, can I tip you? They're like, we can't accept tips, but thanks, man. So that got completely fixed. I couldn't believe it. Like, so we hoisted all that shit up there. That room is good to go. It's going to take probably 3 or 4 hours to build that shit out until we have a streaming PC set up there. We got gigabit fucking internet. 1,000 down that we can run for that stream. So that's all set. Got my mic. Everything kind of survived on the way up, I think. So we're going to set that up. But yeah, dudes, I'm happy. I live great. I envisioned the life that I wanted for myself up here. And minus getting all the streaming stuff set up and being with you guys, I'm living it. Lots of early mornings, exercise, and happiness. It's going good. It's going good. I literally built the life that I wanted to live, and that's what we're doing. Like, I went to every apartment in Seattle, every apartment complex, over the course of the week that I was here. And I was like, oh, yeah, we can kick up some music, huh? I'm not going to be here that long, but... There we go. A part of me kind of knew it was coming anyway. The last month of my life has been the worst darkness I've ever lived in. And if it wasn't for my friends who were there immediately, I have no idea what would have happened. In the last of the Tahoe arc, it was pretty dark. I wasn't sleeping. I was barely eating. I was so depressed being in that house that I lived in with my ex-fiance for 6 years. That was literally killing me. I made the drive up to Seattle on 2 hours of sleep, 14-hour drive. Didn't barely stop just to take a leak. Made the hyperbolic U-Haul. There's more stories to be had here when I have time. Well, I was in a super dark place, and my parents, my dad, like, he came into the house and he just shoved shit in boxes and got in the U-Haul. He's like, "You need to get the fuck out of here. You gotta put stuff in the U-Haul and think about it later." And now that I'm here in my apartment, I'm getting rid of 90% of the stuff I own. At the last moment, my neighbor came over and was like, "Hey, I'll buy your car. It'll go to a good place, and it'll stay in my family, and we'll take care of it," which is what I want as my first car. Super sentimental. Had it for years. I said, sure. And I gave up every possession that I had where there was any memory of my past. Gave it up. And made the journey up to Seattle completely new. The place I selected, the place that I got, was like, I built a vision. I was like the person that I want to be, what does that person live like? And what does that person look like? And what does that person act like? I can do all those things because there's nobody holding me to any kind of template. And so I was like, well, that person lives in the middle of a fucking city, and they take care of themselves. They look good. They care about themselves. They care about other people. They care about making an impact. They live in a place that's hustling, and that's a place they can see every day. So I knew that I wanted a top 4, and I knew that I wanted to look over the whole city. I wanted to see people. I wanted to see people moving. I sold my car because I wanted to walk. I wanted to walk on the earth, and I wanted to walk everywhere. I wanted to be responsible for what I bought and decisions I made, so that I didn't just like haphazardly go places in a car. I wanted to like actually physically walk. Yeah. I feel like I've lived 5 lifetimes since 2 months ago. It's not even 2 months ago. It's October 20th. All this happened on September 14th. And since then, I'm like a different person. I literally do not feel like the same person. I've slept 11 hours every night since I moved in. I go to bed at 9, and I wake up at like 6. That's an amazing feeling. Being reborn, yeah. There was a quote. Yeah, I just watched Hotshot's stream, dude, in the mornings. So he's still fucking up from playing Magic. I actually love your stream. There was a quote I sent a friend. This quote like kind of got me through a little bit. Or it helped me choose what I should do. Are we shuffling? Oh, that's why. There we go. Some of you have heard me read this quote because I read it, I think, in Tahoe. You are by no means only what you already know. You are also all that which you could know if you only would. Thus, you should never sacrifice what you could be for what you are. You should never give up the better that resides within for the security that you already have. Every bit of learning is a little death. Every bit of new information challenges a previous conception, forcing it to dissolve into chaos before it can be reborn as something better. Sometimes such death virtually destroys us. In such cases, we might never recover, or if we do, we change a lot. A good friend of mine discovered that his wife of decades was having an affair. He didn't see it coming. It plunged him into a deep depression. He descended into the underworld. He told me at one point, I always thought that people who were depressed should just shake it off. I didn't have any idea what I was talking about. Eventually, though, he returned from the depths. In many ways, he's a new man, and perhaps a wiser and better man. He lost 40 pounds, he ran a marathon, he traveled to Africa and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. He chose rebirth over descent into hell. And my situation was a little bit different than the stories, but the story is the same. That when something absolutely terrible happens to you, the only control you have over it is your perspective. And what happens in that instant is that hell and heaven become real. They step out of the realm of metaphor and they become places that you can live in your mind. And I saw what hell looked like. Hell looked like staying in that house, continuing in Tahoe, trying to rebuild my life there, and living every day as a shadow of myself. And heaven looked like taking a huge risk and doing everything I could to go all in on that. And literally building the life from the ground up, fuck everything else that I wanted to live. That made the most sense to me to live. That last part of that sentence, he chose rebirth over descent into hell. I saw the fucking descent. I saw the tunnel that I would never come out of. It was so easy, too. It was the easiest decision. And you could rationalize it so well. Like, I was paying fractions on the dollar for a 3-bedroom house. I had my family there. I had my support network. I had everything that made me feel safe and secure. I could have lived there forever. And I just would have blended into the scenery and I would have accepted mediocrity as it stood. Would have been very easy, painless, eventually. You just ignore the price you pay in favor of comfort. And instead, I scared the literal hell out of myself, put all my shit in a truck, and went here on a dream. And I can't say, maybe in 2 years or 5 years or 20 years, or I'll be like, man, I wish I hadn't done that. I don't think so, though. I think that even if everything up here totally fails and I don't manage to embody the life that I envision, just taking up the sword to slay that dragon was worth the price of admission. It always is. There's a lot more stories to tell, but I think that's the main Seattle arc.